Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 247. This is going to be going up on Christmas, and we realized that this was like going to line up with a major holiday, so we figured we would pre-record during the week and just post something up because we pretty much never miss the podcast either way. We'll pre-record it during the week, even if we're out of town at like too many games. And big shout out to everyone for just coming by short notice during the week here. Let me go around. We got Sean, RGT85.
Yo, how's it going?
Have Sean. We got Miss Click.
Hello.
Got OJ, Player Essence.
Thanks for inviting me back on, dude. I really appreciate being back on.
I still have two other Lambos. It's all right.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, man. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
We got MVG.
Yo, what's going on? Great to be here.
Let's see. We got Max Dreamcast guy.
Yo.
And we got Evan.
Yep.
Okay, so not a lot's happening this week because it's Christmas. A lot of studios, publishers, and stuff are on break. They probably won't be back until like after the new year anyway. But I figured we would talk a little bit about some of our favorite Christmases from years past with some new consoles or games that we got, and just probably some random banter about Halo and some other things. Mm-hmm. So I think that's good. We have any Discord questions, Evan? I should ask you that
We
first.
do have a small handful, yeah.
Let's start with one of those.
This is a question for OJ. Is it worth replaying Xenoblade Chronicles X now, or should I wait for the likely Switch port that is probably coming at some point in the near future?
That's a damn good question. I think that it might be worth waiting because the Wii U version of the game, while it's good and it's kind of cool, it's kind of intrusive because if you want to play with a regular Pro controller, you have to also play with the Wii U gamepad to do certain functions. Right. And if you wait, they'll probably make it to where you don't have to do something stupid like that. Tokyo Mirage Sessions also has the same issue on Wii U, and if you played it on the Switch, it's a much better game in my opinion, even though the map is cool and all that, but they force you to use two controllers if you want to use a Pro controller, and the Wii U gamepad dies constantly in that game, and it's a big, long game. There's online multiplayer, and that thing just gets cooked. So you might want to wait. If you've already waited this long, just go ahead and wait a little bit longer. We'll see what happens.
I expect actually a bunch of quality of life improvements for that game.
Well, yeah, because remember it had those texture packs because you have to download the HC texture pack so that it would go faster with rendering and stuff. Honestly, that's my favorite Xenoblade game by far. So wow. By far. I would love to see that, and I'll have that little tiny text too.
That was my issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that game. The scales and stuff, like just so freaking cool.
Okay. I hope they do it. I hope it comes over. I think it'd be cool. Another one, Evan?
Are you more excited for the next State of Play or Inside Xbox presentation?
I mean, State of Play, I think, right? I feel like State of Play, yeah, because I feel like
release dates, right? We're probably going to start hearing stuff, hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we already know when Starfield's coming out, and it seems like that's lined up as Microsoft's like big holiday game. It's like, when is God of War coming out? You know, when's so that's, and I think they're gonna have some other games too from Sony, and then of course we have to eventually see Silent Hill. So
really,
State of Play.
Another year, another bullshit Silent Hill.
You got another one, Evan?
Do you think there will be a Nintendo Fold like the Galaxy Fold, but for the Switch?
Okay.
I feel like that's so expensive. That's way too expensive for
it's
them
called
to
the
want to.
3DS.
You know what?
Open it.
The thing that's interesting about Nintendo is I would be shocked if they played around with the idea of folding screens for something, because that does sound like something Nintendo would do. It sounds very Nintendo.
They did it with the
isn't it just the 3DS like version 2?
No, like folding screens.
Yeah,
like
the screen itself would fold. I imagine they'd probably have it at their R&D, and then they'd be like, "That's interesting. How much would this cost the consumer?" And then they'd say the price, and then they would move on.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. That'd be something we probably wouldn't see for like 10 years or something when it gets cheap enough. But like, I could see Nintendo doing some interesting things with the idea of folding up a screen at a right angle, and like it's all one big screen that can basically be folded shut, and that could be something they might play around with. Like,
I don't know, man.
I mean,
like, I feel like if you give that to a kid, they're just gonna snap it in half.
I was gonna say, I feel like durability would be a hard thing to come by.
Well, yeah, but over time the tech should get better, but we'll have to see.
But haven't we? I thought we moved past this. I like this flip screen shit with phones and video game consoles.
Nope, Sean,
Oh, they're
come
back. The
Vinyl
rolling
is
screens
back.
are back.
Vinyl is
Yeah.
back.
Why?
They do seem cool. They're honestly one of the interesting things is when you open it up, you have a bigger screen. So if I click a YouTube video on my screen, it's cool to open it up and have like a almost an iPad size thing. I like the idea. It'd be cool to have like a Switch where I could play something Game Boy sized and open it up and it's Switch sized. It's never going to exist, but I think it's a cool
Crazy.
idea.
Only flip screen thing I need is a 3DS. The only vinyl I need, MVG, is the Metal Jesus Rocks vinyl.
That might be a little maybe the folding screen might be a little out there. I mean, next thing you know, they're gonna have people folding up cardboard and playing with the Joy-Cons and all that.
Some people can't do that.
I'm the only person who never told
I
you
pity
mine.
those people.
Still your greatest video of all time, by the way, Sean.
We got another Discord question, Evan.
One awesome YouTuber said he won't give sports and racing games like Forza Game of the Year because all you do is just driving. I'm curious to know others' thoughts on this opinion.
Interesting.
I think that's very close-minded. Did somebody on this panel say that?
Yeah, that was
I feel
me.
like most of us were bringing that up, but it was more that they just wouldn't give it because it's the Game Awards than anything else.
I think it depends on
I
how
wouldn't
you
give it to
want-
Madden either. Sorry, Click. Sorry, but
No, you're
like since that was about me, I said the same thing. I'm not going to give it to Madden. I'm not going to give it to NBA 2K. And those games have a ton of other stuff implemented in there. They have so much stuff. It's a sports game. It's a sports game. They've been doing these. They repeatedly do these sports games. Yes, they add stuff. They add features. It plays great. I get that. But I'm not giving it to any sports game or any racing game. You know, that's just not me.
So,
And
wait,
they need
so
to
you
improve
wouldn't-
other stuff.
You wouldn't give it to a Mario Kart, though?
Would you not give it to a
No, I
Call of
haven't given it
Duty
to.
at
Never
all?
given it to a Mario
Really?
Kart.
I
No,
wouldn't give
I've
it to
never.
Mario Kart either.
No, you give me Bayonetta versus Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8 came out in what 2014. Bayonetta 2 came out in 2014. I was like, Bayonetta 2 is way better by a considerable amount. I said Bayonetta 2 is a better game. You know, so
What? But what? Oh, go ahead, Click.
No, I was gonna say I think it really depends on what your personal rubric for Game of the Year is. My
getting
sister's calling me.
Oh my
My
God.
rubric
niece's
is
birthday
personal
is
calls.
My niece's
this is
birthday is on Christmas Eve tomorrow, so it's pretty cool. But
I feel like
I think it's like the narrative kind of driven,
that's
the
my thing.
emotional, the music with the soundtrack, you know, like having that all incorporated together. I think people also associate because I know your favorite genre, games for impact is like a category. They tend to feature that. I think people automatically think within. So it's like if it makes them feel something, or if it drives, you know, and evokes an emotion or like a common theme that people can get behind, and kind of rally behind characters or representation. I think that's what people like a lot of people think of for Game of the Year versus just technological advancement, things that it's pushing, you know, the gaming industry to do. And I think a lot of people, I think their minds are shifting a little bit. Things like Forza. I know a lot of people are like, normally I wouldn't consider, you know, a racing game for like Game of the Year, but some people are like, it's just so it's just so far how far we've come that for me, it is the Game of the Year. And personally, I'm kind of like with OJ a little bit. I want to kind of have that full kind of package, including with a narrative. I don't think Forza needs to have a narrative to be a complete game whatsoever. But I think oftentimes that's kind of like the mindset we've been in for so long as to what games get nominated. So
I am shocked and appalled that we will not give a Mario Kart a potential game of the year.
Would you give it to a?
Why?
Would you give it to a fighting game?
Well, see,
If it, yes,
Yeah, I'd give it
my
to
thing is like Bayonetta 2.
Bayonetta was nominated.
Bayonetta 2 is a great game, and I loved it. But what did I play more? Did I play Bayonetta 2 or Mario Kart 8 more?
Is it based off of how much you play more?
No, but obviously if I'm enjoying myself and I'm playing a game a ton and it's adding in new things and new features into it, like I don't think a game of the year should just be for narrative driven games, because I think fighting games should be in there too. If there's like, you're gonna tell me Street Fighter 2 wasn't one of the best games in '91? Like that's crazy talk.
but I feel like my thing is that
games.
story is that extra spice that makes it more of an emotional impact. Because I definitely loved the heck out of Forza. Like I thought Forza was great this year, but it's like if we had some sort of plot, some sort of motivation that would make me care more about it. Like it makes me like project myself more into it, and it makes it more of a staying thing. Like I think that's why I liked God of War 2018 so much. Is the plot. Like the combat was great, the graphics were great, the directing was great, but that story is what sticks in my mind the most. I'm not thinking about that axe 2 years later. I'm thinking thinking about his like time where he almost touched Atreus' shoulder and then stops himself. Like that's what sticks in my mind the most. So I feel like story makes it last longer, and therefore people consider it harder.
I don't know.
You want a
X was
story?
pretty cool.
Read a goddamn book.
X was
I
pretty
do.
cool,
I
though.
read all.
Yeah, I mean, I almost look at some of these more technical racing games like fighting games. I compare them very similarly. So
It's
I mean,
tough, man. That's
and
tough.
it also-
really have
it also-
stories.
Some
It
people
also
think
depends
for
on the
some
year,
reason
too.
my game of the year is Animal Crossing. They're like, that guy that tweeted out yesterday, he's like, I'm not gonna listen to some lady who thinks Animal Crossing was her game of the year. Bro, Animal Crossing was not my game of the year. Do I think it deserves a nomination because we literally only played Animal Crossing during a worldwide pandemic? I think that would be the factor that, to me, I could see why people would consider that the game of the year because it got them through a lot of tough times. However, for me personally, Animal Crossing doesn't have the content or the scope or the impact for me personally.
It was also Nate's game of the year because it took a whole year for the game to actually get delivered to his house.
Animal Crossing is a weird case. I think you could make the case that it transcended games that year.
It really
because
did.
It was more like for people to cope with everything that was going on and help them through it. So
It went
you
mainstream
could
too. Yeah.
you could make that case for, hey, yeah, this is the game of the year because it actually blurred into the lines of
Because it was a
reality for a lot
fucked
of
up
people.
year.
I just want to be really clear though. Like it was just my own personal. I said that Forza should be nominated for Game of the Year. I already stated that on the Spawncast so beforehand. Yeah, sure, it deserves it. Other people, it can be Game of the Year. I just said my own personally, I would not put it there. Just because, like I said, sports and racing, it's just not. I mean, even fighting games have a story. I mean, there's Mortal Kombat has a fantastic story. You know what I'm saying? So even fighting games have great stories and can. I mean, Smash Brothers isn't, the story's not great, but it's there.
Injustice.
You know,
Injustice.
How do you
like
feel?
Injustice.
Injustice, yeah.
Hey, Forza has a story. You got to race around.
Story's trash.
Gotta go
Race the
fast,
street.
right?
That
You gotta
story's
buy the
hot,
house. You gotta buy
hot
the house.
garbage.
What do you think of your white counterpart, White Keeley, giving his show the Overwatch in 2016 for Game of the Year? What about a competitive first-person
I
shooter?
thought that was when I first got Overwatch, dude. I was like, "What the hell is this?" Because I did not look at the reviews. I just bought it, and I was expecting some type of story and experience, and it was just freaking the same two modes over and over. I was like, "What is this?"
I'm gonna say because I don't think we really were like interacting much back when Overwatch 1. What was that? 2017?
2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Overwatch, I think, is one of those examples where they knew there is no story in the actual game. Well, there's a lot of lore and story and character development within like interactions within the game, but they built a whole cinematic universe around that game. They had like at least 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 different like full animated shorts to go with this world. They did a
several
lot
written
of
stories,
lore
comic
building.
books.
I watched them in a movie theater. I can't remember what I went to, but I went to some sort of event where they showed an hour-long thing of all.
Can I
the
ask a
different
question with that
Overwatch.
though?
Wait, hold on.
So
No,
good.
fuck you. I wanted to say something. Okay,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
RGT,
you go
go
first.
ahead.
Go first. I was just gonna.
Go ahead, RGT.
Mine was a statement. You know what? Also, you know what game also has a lot of characters with a lot of lore, side stories.
Mario
You can
Kart.
see Mario Kart 8.
Oh,
God,
gosh,
look
here
at
we
all
go.
those stories there.
You're so
Proceed,
dumb.
OJ.
I was gonna say, can you cinematically put that shit in the game? I mean, that would be great if they could cinematically put it in the game so I can see it.
I think that's the downfall, honestly, of what happened with Overwatch 2, other than Activision Blizzard literally being hell. And it makes me sad. Like, I was so looking forward to it, and like what they were showing off, they went into like a whole deep down, like basically a direct for Overwatch at BlizzCon, and they were talking about all the things that changed. They have hundreds of cinematics they were going to be adding in. Not only that, they're adding in a multiplayer casual mode where you're having skill trees and you can build the characters how you want versus their predetermined kits and everything. So I think that the scope of what they were adding in, because they were going to add that main story in to the game for people to play besides just the competitive mode, was a really ambitious endeavor for the game. I think a lot of people were really excited. Some people who didn't even know what Overwatch was, they're just like, oh, it's an Overwatch 2. It's like, no, this is the main campaign if you want to play and like see these characters. However, they keep delaying it. I think it's because they bit off more they can chew. Plus people are leaving. Plus people are literally, rightfully so, walking out and leadership is leaving. Like, the game is honestly phenomenal. If you ever get it, I don't know if you'd want to watch it at this point. I wouldn't recommend it if you don't want to support them, and that's fine. But their cinematics and their comics are phenomenal, and I love the world building and the characters and how they each represent different people from different parts across the world. That was something that hadn't been done before, really. Now we have other games that have really come out with representations from all over the world, different cultures, and people actually get to learn things about the world beyond them, and I thought that was so cool. But again, Overwatch I think was a very special case, and if you're not a competitive FPS player, it's not going to be a huge interest to you. And, for some people that is the contingency, and that's completely understandable.
One final thing I'd like to say.
The
years 2003. The Spike Video Game Awards have just begun, hosted by Jeff Keighley. Game of the Year, Madden 2004.
Yeah, that's
really bizarre.
I mean, back then at least those Maddens were innovative. I can say that. That'd be like the only redeeming quality. It was like, hey, playmaker, they were innovative. But after 2006, it pretty much went downhill.
Well, I just want to quickly say this all comes down to personal tastes. The original question from Discord was basically about that. Like, I'm weird. I don't consider, even though I know MVG loves it, I don't even consider Flight Sim to be a game. It's pretty much an interactive tech demo.
It's a game.
Not a game to me, baby.
It's a game, baby. It's like Pilot Wings. Come on, that's a game. So, 2003, you say, Sean. So I'm looking at 2003. We've got Knights of the Old Republic, Max Payne 2, Prince of Persia, Tony Hawk's Underground, Simpsons Hidden Run, Jack and Daxter 2, Enter the I mean, there are so many much better games than Madden.
Yes, Madden won.
How does Madden win 2003?
This might have to do a bit with the network. It was on.
Spike.
Final Fantasy.
It's
X2.
cops and sports clips, baby.
Well, no, because
it's on Spike.
But Spike, they had some. Hold on, let me
True
find the list
Crime,
again.
Beautiful Joe.
Was there a big crack epidemic or something this year?
Like the next year, San Andreas won, Resident Evil 4, Elder Scrolls 4. This was the only anomaly. Well, there's one more anomaly, but it's just a genre that I hate. Yeah.
What genre is that?
That was the first year. I wonder if
Telltale.
Oh yeah.
Walking Dead won in 2012.
Deserved.
Telltale games are only good if you care about the story of what they're telling. If you don't care, like that's my thing. Like the Batman one, cool. Back to the Future, cool. Wolf Among Us was okay. All the other stuff is just like, if I don't care about The Walking Dead, the game isn't gonna make me care about The Walking Dead.
It made me care. But that was my gateway drug. But then I didn't do Back to the Future or anything.
It's a little bit more of an intimate story within the Walking Dead kind of universe.
Jurassic Park had one. Let's see. Yeah, I've never watched The Walking Dead. Yeah, I did. It was PC only, and I played it on my shitty netbook that I bought for like $200 because it would run, and I was so ecstatic. I think it came out in like 2000. Jurassic Park.
Oh, wow, interesting.
The fact that Madden won in 2003 means that Game of the Year is so fraudulent. It hasn't really changed since then because like the takes are mostly bad. Honestly,
I love you, Jeff.
Find the lie.
It came out in 2011. The Jurassic Park game. It was only on PC.
Weird.
Yeah,
I would have given it to Beautiful Joe, by the way. For 2000.
Oh no, I lied. It came out on consoles too.
I feel like back then, I feel like it's gotten a little bit better as time's gone on. But I feel like for a while, it was all about like games that had quote unquote realistic graphics, games that constantly
that's true,
were pushing the genre. Like if it was creative and like cartoony or cel shaded, like Wind Waker, completely bashed because people wanted a realistic game. Then they brought out photorealism in 2006 with Twilight Princess, and again that game was like, oh, this is so cool, but it's still not completely realistic. I remember people hating on it. It's like it's a mix between the cartoon and a mix between the realistic. Nowadays people like praise it. They're like, oh, it's Ocarina of Time but better. And it's cool to see how time has evolved and new games can come out and new art styles can evolve. But back then it was very like hyper realistic, which obviously I think people have realized now that just because it's realistic back then means it probably ages worse over time. The artistic fidelity doesn't hold up the same way.
I still can't believe I hated on Wind Waker for so many years.
Aww.
Literally years of my life bashing that game.
I love it.
I love that game when I love it.
No, I hated it because of the graphics when it first came out. I was like, what is this bullshit?
Me and all my friends literally would make fun of the game. We'd like open up gaming magazines to go, here's the kids section, and then scroll past Wind Waker. Here's the adult games, and it's like Grand Theft Auto.
Exactly. That was the thing. You got to think of the time frame. When did Wind Waker? What year did Wind Waker come out?
2002?
03.
03.
Okay, so I'm 17 years old, a senior in high school, at my maximum degeneracy level. Okay, like Wind Waker wasn't flying with the homies. Like, no, you couldn't.
I loved it. Me and the homies, we thought Wind Waker was dope.
But you should have been playing Halo at the time.
We were playing Halo
too.
I was doing Halo tournaments. Yeah, so that's my thing. Is doing all the Halo tournaments, and then you see Link with cat eyes. That's literally what we kept saying.
Okay, so every time we get like a fanboy comment in chat, I'll just think of you guys when you were.
I was the GameCube.
Yep.
I was the GameCube guy.
From what I remember, like
only one who had it.
Nintendo was messing around with like the silicon graphics machines at the time, and they were trying to get those realistic looking graphics, like what you saw in like Donkey Kong Country and stuff. Yeah. So everyone kind of felt like the next Zelda was going to be like photorealistic, and then they went cell shaded, and it kind of they did show it, and people were like, "What's this?" But like, I don't know, I just felt like a lot of people were expecting photorealism, like you said, Click, and then when they went cell shade, which personally I thought it was amazing. I love the aesthetic of Wind Waker, but it kind of threw some people off. But the game's a masterpiece in my opinion. It's one of the best games ever. So good.
For sure.
Got another Discord question, Evan?
Okay. When might we see Monolithsoft's ambitious new RPG? We have only seen concept art thus far.
Oh, I mean, probably next year.
Next year. I've been covering this quite a bit, maybe a bit more. And we don't even know if that is a new actual game. That could be a Xenoblade game. And they could have just been that they adapted it to something else. It really could be, because we just don't know at this point. The rumors coming out that it's there's a new Xenoblade game, that it's going to be Xeno. There's about the new IP. That could have been canned a long time ago, or that could have just been a front for something else that they're going to do, or they were going to adapt Xenoblade into something completely different. So we just don't know what it is, to be honest.
I mean, they're running out of time, so they basically have to show it soon. Otherwise, they're going to be on the next Switch at this point.
I think their next game will be announced. There's plenty of rumors. I think it's going to be, like John said, I think it's going to be 2022. They're going to show something.
I mean, it was rumored to be revealed this year at some point, and it didn't happen. So
Xeno 3 was rumored. Xeno 3 was rumored to be this year, but we'll see. We'll see what actually happens. We'll see what happens next year.
Okay. We had a lot of Xeno questions. Were you talking about it this week on OJ? Like, why is Xenoblade Chronicles 2 out of print?
Were you super chatting, OJ?
Yeah, is this you? Is this all you? The prices on these games are ridiculous right now. So.
Oh yeah, what are they up to now? Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and then Torna.
Torna is higher than 2. So Torna is like 200.
Oh.
Ooh. 200 plus for Torna. New, sealed. Used or European copy, you can get it for cheaper. And I think Xenoblade 2, I think that people have been able to get it for like 80, 90, maybe $100 for Xeno 2. Special editions maybe a bit more, maybe a bit higher for the special edition. The reason why is because Nintendo's not reprinting it. And because Pyra and Mithra got into Super Smash Brothers, and people wanted to well, who the hell is Pyra and Mithra? And we had like multiple people, even like pro Smash players, who never knew who Pyra and Mithra were and started playing Xenoblade 2. But the game was already out of print. That game sat there dusty on store shelves for years. And all of them were just, the last time that I saw it was like 2019, maybe? It's been a while, but the game came out the launch year of the Switch. So they were just sitting there. Everyone that wanted one bought it. I bought a copy of Torna for $25.
Well, now we know the strategy for when 3 comes out. Buy like 3 copies. There you go. Stock up
2 copies of Definitive Edition, because they're not going to reprint Definitive Edition. So they make an initial print run. People always just take their sweet time buying it, and then 4 or 5 years later, people are like, "Hey, where's it at? Reprint it." And Nintendo's like, "Nah, you want it? Buy it digital."
Yeah, I do that. I'm real dumb about that. Where a game comes out and I like it, and then I'm like, cool, and then I just forget to ever grab the good physical versions.
Yeah, I get concerned about that with certain like JRPGs and stuff. Like if I don't get it physically, I need to grab it soon after if it goes on sale. Like Tales of Arise is one I got digitally, and then I saw it go down in price for like Black Friday and stuff physically, and I picked one of those up. I think it was like sealed for $25. So
yeah, it's always a good bet to probably just pick up those RPGs. But that's the reason why Nintendo won't reprint it. I mean, it's you can talk about the tactics in terms of things, how they do it, because they want people to buy it digital to make more money off the digital copy. So I mean, that's just really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Okay, then we got more.
Yeah, we've got a few more. Would you guys consider making a series called Spawncast Plays? The cast would play competitive or just cooperative or whatever.
We play enough Halo at this point. We playing Halo the other night, and it was a blast.
I'll have to turn my microphone off.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
That was the thing. My buddies were like,
really
"Yo,
funny.
when are you gonna stream Halo with the people on your cast?" And I was like, "We talk a lot of shit, so
yeah."
No,
Sean's the best. Sean's
my
so
favorite
funny on
part,
there.
bro. I have a clip someone took a time before last when we played, and Sean just sounds like a drowning cat. He's just like.
Do you want to see? Yeah, you want to hear what Sean sounds like? Go over to Click's channel. Are your streams archived?
Yeah, they're archived.
Yeah, watch I'm trying to remember what night that was where we played. Sean is hilarious to listen to because
That was the night of the Amazon rainforest.
If anyone matches up with Sean, just kill him and teabag him.
No, please, dude, seriously.
from this point forward, on site.
We were playing the other night, and somebody killed Sean, and then we first hear, "I think this motherfucker's trying to teabag me." Oh, he's just crouching. No, that was a teabag. He like whiplash his anger. Yeah.
Fun times.
I hate that. It drives me nuts.
great.
Now everyone's gonna do it because they know you hate it. Since they know you hate it, they're gonna do it.
In the back of my mind, I feel that way. Like, anyways, like when I'm playing and just against randoms, and I'm like, maybe you recognize me.
Yeah, if you want to see Sean, go listen to Click's stream. I'm trying to remember which one that was. It's like a week or two ago.
Oh my god.
But it was really funny. I thought about that like a channel where we have like video clips up of us playing these games, because like when we did Halo and the other night last night we're playing, and we like hid in the vents.
That was great.
And we hid
That was the
that
best.
was so funny.
That was the best.
And so it's like on the Spawncast clips channel. You could probably just
We can use
throw it
that.
up on there. Maybe one of these
Let's
days.
set the scene for this epicness.
Oh
though.
gosh! All right, yeah, go ahead.
So it's me, Spawn, MVG, and Rando, and there's on the desert city map. I don't know the names of any
Bazaar,
of the maps,
I believe, is what you're talking
Bizarre,
about.
yeah.
So in the bazaar, there's a vent system in the far corner, like where the rocket launcher spawns, and you could go in there. We learned about it 2 days ago when we saw another team doing it.
Yeah,
and we
a
were
guy
like,
was hiding in there all night.
Yeah.
That's
So we were
so
like,
nice.
huh. And so we're playing a random game, and someone jumped into it, and then I think MVG was hiding in it a bunch. So me and Spawnwave went in there, and then our teammate randomly comes in there. We sat there and hid literally for like 6 or 7 minutes, and the other team was freaking. You can hear him shooting shit. One guy ends up finding us, so Spawnwave kills him, and then we all run out there, and I find 2 guys in the center of the map just crouched, like moving very slowly so they don't pop up on radar, because that's what they thought we were doing. We were literally just hiding in that vent, and it was the best. It was the best. I was dying laughing.
Really funny because they would walk past the vent, and then kind of stop, and then keep going because they see him on the radar, and it's so funny.
Yeah, it was like 6 minutes. Like, we
Yeah,
could literally,
like that's no exaggeration.
grab a
winning?
snack and come back. Yeah, we're winning. We're up by like 5 or something.
Yeah, and then we ended up winning by like 16 or something after that. So we surprised them and got a free like 4 kills because they didn't see any of that coming. It was really funny though.
Shout out to the rando teammate for doing it with us too. He was a trooper.
Yeah,
He
we
was.
could have just been out there by himself. He figured it out.
When we were doing capture the flag on there, and the vent connects, and there's like a drop down to the basement, and so we started having like MVG it's at the bottom in the basement. So if somebody tried to take the flag in the vent, we could flush him down. Oh god, it was
Yeah.
the
time.
tactical vents was hilarious that other night.
Yeah, we just do one big team and just record clips of it.
If it worked,
Yeah, right. It's been so flaky lately.
bro, that's so dumb.
We did technically do a video once. Remember when we all played Sea of Thieves together?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I showed you how to blow up a ship from below. Yeah.
Halo's funny because you'll just hear Sean randomly yell at something. So I feel like I could cut that up really well. And just have random Sean rage moments.
That'd be so good.
Maybe we'll play around with that idea. That could be fun. Just have to figure out a way to record it and like put it together correctly.
Yeah, we'd either all have to record our own angle or just record one person's angle and edit it, or who knows.
Yeah, I just have to make sure like the audio comes through and all that. So, all right, Evan, you got any others?
After seeing games like Cyberpunk and the GTA trilogy, is it okay to be worried about games like Guardians of the Galaxy, Halo Infinite, Horizon Forbidden West, and other big AAA games on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles?
Well, I mean,
I think it's okay to be worried, but I mean, I also feel like most games, when they get launched, they come through pretty well. You know, I would still consider Cyberpunk like the exception rather than the rule, right?
We're talking about the RPG nominated
Nominated game
right?
of the year. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page with that one. Yeah.
That completely changes my answer then.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of like
though.
worrying before the release of a game like that. Like if it comes out and it's not good, or then okay, then we evaluate. You watch Dreamcast guys review, you watch RGT. You do it then. But worrying beforehand, like I don't know about all that. Just
give it a day or two. Don't
just wait till it comes out. You know, wait till, and if it sucks, then okay, then go play something else. I get it, because like if you're highly anticipating a game, but I don't know about this worrying because of something else. It's not even the same developer. Like that's not. I don't think that's fair.
I think it's tough if you have things like collector's editions and stuff, to where it's like you might be excited for something and then you want to get like the bundle ahead of time.
That's how they try to get you to FOMO in when they got the nice
That's
collector's
Get
edition.
those nice weapon skins a day early. It's great.
Yeah.
At least look at the gameplay. I mean, look at the gameplay, and from there judge whether you think it's going to be good. Cyberpunk didn't show us anything.
Yeah,
so there was already red flags, and Sean called it out beforehand. You know what I'm saying? So you can usually call out stuff beforehand. I always make sure that I look at the game. I never buy crappy games. That's why I don't ever play shitty games, because I always look at the gameplay before I get into it. So,
but the thing is, always, even before release, the gameplay that they show you can be very curated. So it does come down
Aliens,
to
Colonial Marines, Aliens. They got super
but you can call that out though. People easily call that out.
Not always. I think the Colonial Marines was the big one that that no one knew until day of, and then that was a problem.
Their gameplay was so heavily edited and so scripted that it looked so great, and then you play it and it's like this janky mess, and the aliens don't even work.
Or if they don't give out review codes, like then it's basically like, well, someone has to buy this to figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like if anything though, that will continue. If not, end up getting worse. Like I think there's stuff going on like with the industry right now where they feel like if they can kind of script, or as you said, curate experiences for people to make it seem organic, like that's really kind of how we should be wary, and maybe do your due diligence, and again not be a victim of FOMO or whatever. Much like there's brands right now that are literally getting exposed all over Twitter because they're taking advantage of content creators and streamers, basically being like, hey, we'll allow you to be like a partner with our program, however we have like full rights, past, previous, and future, to your likeness and everything that you post. We're not going to pay you a single dime. We'll put you in a Super Bowl ad, and we're never going to give you a penny of it. You'll never see it, but you're a partner, so yay! But this is in the fine print. So I feel like it's kind of like they tend to. I think people are just going to have to be more informed when you go to make these purchases, or if you're a content creator, like making certain deals or signing certain contracts. And there's nothing wrong with that. It kind of sucks that I feel like they're taking advantage of your excitement. And like if you just are blindly buying things, you could end up regretting it. So it's up to you how much it's worth to waste the 60, or if it's a special edition, like $100+.
Well, my thought is, and I've seen other people say this, we're in a weird space now where like it feels like for video games, half of it is the hype before the game comes out, and then half of it is finally playing the experience. And I feel like so many people now are getting so skeptical of projects before they come out, they're sort of tainting the enjoyment. So it makes it where like, get excited for stuff, be happy, look at trailers, watch people reacting to it, stuff like that. And then if it comes out and it sucks, okay, it doesn't mean that your hype was fake. It just means you got excited for a bad project. Like don't try and pee in your own cereal.
I like that. That's good.
Why would you pee in your own cereal?
Speaking of cereal,
seems like something that nobody. Who would do that?
My history teacher used to say that don't pee in your cereal. I don't know if he had. I
heard
or what.
Don't shit where you sleep, but.
Sometimes people pee in their shit. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
What do you say?
Yeah, so
East Coast. That's an East Coast thing. That must be
weird. I guess segue. What's your favorite cereal mascot?
I have a giant Lucky Charms. What's the stupid leprechaun from Lucky Charms?
I think his name's Lucky.
Yeah.
I had a huge house party and somebody left it downstairs, and I just had Lucky the Lucky Charms guy downstairs for years now.
Lucky Charms,
Captain Crunch.
Yeah, that crazy captain from he was kind of OD. What about the Cookie Crisp? The Cookie Crisp, that guy.
Dude, I still eat Cookie Crisp.
What about Fruit Loops, Sam?
Yeah, the Fruit Loops. Yeah.
Toucan Sam. Yeah,
remember the Rice Krispies had those three brothers, and then
Snap, Crackle, Pop.
Crackle and Pop.
Yeah, and then
what about the Sugar Smacks frog?
Oh yeah, Sugar Smacks.
Tony the Tiger.
Or the Golden Crisp bear. I liked him, but I had a bad experience with golden with Sugar Crisp cereal. No, I was a little kid and I ate it and I threw up, and so ever since then, like it's in my like burnt. Like I can't like smell it. Like it drives me nuts.
John, I want to hear yours. I got to hear what John has to say on this.
For mascots,
Yes.
I'll go with the Trix rabbit.
Okay, Trix.
Yeah.
Trix kind of tasted kind of weird, but it looked cool, and all the kids talked about it, so you wanted it. But I don't think it was the best.
It was big back then. Yeah.
It was. Trix was huge. Yeah, that dude.
There it is.
I was always a fan of Notre Dame football, so I like that guy.
Look,
I was like Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He looks like the mascot. I like that guy.
I still love Trix.
And my mom would always, you know what my mom would do? My mom would always be like, no, we're not buying all the brand stuff because that stuff costs too much. You're buying like
the big
malto
bags.
meal. Yeah, the big malto meal ones. So we didn't get the brand name stuff. That was when
you gotta go to the bottom shelf, and it's like, okay, I guess.
my parents were like, it's the same thing. It tastes the same. I'm like, true, but there's a leprechaun on that shit.
My
And
mom
he's looking
was
straight at me.
I have no idea why, and this is gonna sound crazy. My mom was afraid of milk, so we weren't allowed to have cereal. Or if I did eat cereal, I wasn't allowed to drink milk. So I all cereal as a kid kind of tasted bad.
No, dry cereal good.
I'm okay with it now, but at the time, because we got the worst like fucking
snack.
Raisin Bran. I hate Raisin Bran, so dry Raisin Bran.
Actually, like Raisin Bran.
I love
No.
Raisin Bran.
I usually sprinkle some cinnamon in
Dude,
it.
it's so
But
good.
maybe as a kid, no.
You ever had Raisin Bran Crunch? You remember that commercial for Raisin Bran Crunch?
No.
Raisin Bran Crunch, buy me some, mom. It was like two like 30-year-old dudes that were trying to come up with a commercial for it, and that was like the idea they came up with. It was great.
Must have been a New York special, New York Knicks special.
Get out of here. Coming back.
Nice.
You got Evan.
Question for John and Evan. How long does it take to make a newswave from start to finish?
Let's see.
And for me, it's about 2 hours for my side of things. You got what?
Most of the day, just compiling info. Yeah, so probably from like 12 to it's probably like in total it's probably like 8 or 9 hours overall from start to finish technically, but it's not like continuous. It's like looking through stuff and then coming back to it, and yeah, so it's a good chunk of the day.
Yep. And then I got one guy asking if I've played a game called Ready or Not. I've watched it.
Ready or not, here I come.
It's like a SWAT team. It's like a SWAT team simulation game, similar to GTFO, but like I can barely find a group for that. So
Okay. Is that everything, Evan?
that is everything.
Okay, so it's Christmas. I figure we talk about some of our Christmas memories, video game related memories. There's stuff you got on Christmas or around then from family members or whoever. I'm sure it's dating back. Of course, you go back to NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, PlayStation, wherever. What do we got? What would be one of your favorite memories from Christmas with getting a game or system?
I didn't get a lot of. We just didn't have a lot of Christmases. Broken family, blah blah blah. But there was this time where, for some reason, my dad had saved up all year long, and he said, "I'm going to drive you to it's Disney World in Florida, right?"
Yeah.
So he said, "I'm going to drive you to Disney World for Christmas." So we drove to Disney World. It was me and my little brother, and we got there, and we went to Disney World, and it was just a crazy experience. And then Dad, I think I was like 8 or 9, and my dad was like, "Hey, Santa's not going to be able to find us. We're not at home. Maybe Santa will have left us something when we go back." And I'm probably on that verge where I'm not quite believing in Santa at the time. But then that night I would go to sleep in the hotel, and I woke up, and Dad had somehow built a big Christmas tree while I was asleep. And he put this huge box, and it had Game Boy, the old original brick Game Boy, which had come out a couple years before that. It had a Killer Instinct. It had a link cable.
Dude, Killer Instinct on the Game Boy was legit.
Yeah.
I
good.
know.
It is.
It has something else, and then I think, and then like 3 or 4 months later, he bought me Pokemon, and so we used to. I think it was two Game Boys. So it was me and my brother, and we used to link cable, fight each other in Killer Instinct, and then trade Pokemon. And it was like this, like it felt like magic. Like legitimately, I think it's part of the reason I'm so in love with Game Boy is because it felt like this thing that should not exist. And I was like, Santa's fucking real. It was awesome.
Nice.
I've got one. I mean, not as I guess as cool as that story, but I got a PlayStation 1 for Christmas in, I think it was 97. My dates could be a little wrong. But it also came with Final Fantasy 7, which I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
a memory card with that thing too.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted the
PlayStation
PS1 and Final Fantasy. I got it. And man, I was not ready because I was coming from the N64, which I love, as you guys know, is one of the best systems ever, better than the GameCube. But this was just something else. Playing FF7, I will never forget it. I played that game like for 3 days straight until I beat it. I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I think for me, every time I think about Christmas and video games, it's always that Christmas when I got my PS1. It was the best.
Yeah, I thought it was weird at the time because you go from like the cartridge to the discs, and that was, I know we had it on like a Sega CD, but like not a lot of people even had the.
Well, the other
Sega
thing
CD,
is
really?
Final Fantasy. So I lived in Australia at the time, obviously, and there was, I think it was the first ever PAL FF game that ever released in Australia. So before that, I'd have to import like FF3 and whatever for the Super Famicom or Super NES. So this was the first kind of localized release of the game in Australia. So it was kind of it was a big deal when it came out, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I didn't get. Every year I'd get like a different game system or games for the most part is what I'd asked for. I got a PS1, the slim PS1, and I got Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 with it, and that was like my big present. That was good.
That was great.
Really
that must have been good, dude.
Yep, because my neighbor had it, like, and we played all the time, and finally I got my own like system with that, and that was good. But no, definitely at the time, the one I remember probably the 64. I will say that because I was at that perfect age where you get it. And you get that Pokemon Stat, Mario 64, and it was on after that. But I got it, and none of the TVs in our house had the AV in.
Yep.
So I couldn't even play it on Christmas Day. We had to go the next day to get the RF adapter for it. Because I was confused. I was like, hold on, my Super Nintendo, like we had the one that has like the pin that you plug in the back and then it runs over and screws in the cable jack. Like, why doesn't the 64 have this? So we had to seriously wait until the next day because nothing in our house used that.
Must have been
That's how long ago this was.
That must have been terrible as a kid. You're just like, dude, this sucks.
Yeah, we had like 2 TVs in the house, I think, and neither of them used it. And the VCRs we had didn't have those either. So yeah, that's how long ago it was.
I remember those days. You'd plug your console into your VCR and then turn the VCR on.
Yep, it'd become an input.
It used to darken the image. I remember like a lot of times cheaper VCRs would make everything look slightly washed out. And then later when I started direct connecting to TVs, I was like, wow, these games are really colorful and vibrant. I didn't notice.
The year was 1995.
Oh, I also got Lego Racers, which by the way, underrated N64 game. Go ahead, Sean.
There's a snowfall on the ground. I was asked what I wanted Santa to bring me. Didn't really believe at the time, but I knew somebody would buy me something. There was 3 systems available on the marketplace. We had the Sony PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and one outlier. I was the man who picked the outlier. Remember going to KB Toys in Newtown, and they had a display for this system. I'd pick up the brochure. I'd read the brochure over and over again because this is the system that I wanted. On a Christmas morning of 1995, my biological father handed me a package. I opened it, and it was the Virtual Boy. The greatest decision I ever made. Love that system to death. It was so cool. I don't care what anyone says. I had my Mario Tennis, and I would sit there and I'd play it for hours because it was cool and it looked cool. And then my cousin got one, and my uncle played games, so he bought Tellero Boxer, and then he let me borrow Tellero Boxer. And I was like, "This is a great when you'd get knocked out and the screen would crack and so cool." And then granted, they stopped making games for it, but that is the oldest thing that I still own is my original Virtual Boy still.
It still works?
Yep.
Wow.
Super random. I just want to throw this out here. So I got a Nintendo. I got a Virtual Boy way after they failed. They were on a discount rack, and my dad bought me one, and I started playing it for a bit. And I had it for a year, and I had most of the games for it. And I can't remember why, but I thought ghosts were talking to me through my Virtual Boy, and I got so afraid of it. In the middle of the night, I dug a hole out back, and I threw my Virtual Boy into it. So I feel like if I ever went to my childhood home, I bet I could dig up my original Virtual Boy.
That sounds like a YouTube video.
Dude, that's
I've thought about it. I mean, I know the address. I have my childhood address memorized. I have thought about going there and being like, "Hey, can I check your backyard for a Virtual Boy?"
You should totally do that.
How far away is it?
I buried. Not only did I bury it, I buried it in a big wooden box with my name written on it, so I could actually prove it's my Virtual Boy.
Yeah, dude. Like, is it close to where you live now?
It's like 30 minutes from where I'm at right now.
Dude, you gotta do it.
Why would you write your name on it? Let the ghosts know who you are.
I used to live in this house. When I was a kid, I buried something in the backyard. Would you mind? And I'm sure they would not.
They might look at you and be like, hold on, what you
Well, also, so that the house still exists too. I looked it up on Google Maps. My original house still exists too. So yeah, I have thought about it, but I don't know. I'm also kind of shy. Maybe if I hired a camera crew or some friends to go with me, I'd probably do it. I'm afraid of going by myself.
Have your housemate go with you.
I know, yeah. Maybe at some point. Yeah, I'm thinking about
video.
So you can both never be seen or heard from again.
So my thought is to do that as a Halloween special, like next year or something. Just to
do
go
it.
there, finding my haunted Virtual Boy.
I'm gonna fucking bother you all of 2022 to remind you about this. I don't forget.
Dig that baby up.
Right.
Yeah, man. I do have one Christmas or two, but the N64 and the Super Nintendo, nothing crazy. My dad, he was kind of like a hard ass at times, you know, and like he raised us pretty strict. So whenever we got something, it was pretty cool. So it was just dope to get a Super Nintendo back in the day.
Feeling because when you're a kid, you can't get any of this stuff. And you gotta rely on it and cross your fingers for like Christmas or something to come around.
So I remember it was Super Nintendo was dope because I remember just waking up in the morning and there was Super Mario World and the Super Nintendo, and my brother was like,
especially now, like. Yeah, like we get, you know, you get older, you get jaded from that feeling. And Max is right. When you get something like a new system and you're like 10, 11, 12, it feels like magic. You know, even then, it feels like it's like this magical thing that you now own. And it's like, especially if it's a handheld at the time, like you had that Game Boy Max, you got like a Game Boy Advance or a DS, and all of a sudden some of these
it was just so cool. Like the like you saw the commercials. Remember the Super Mario World commercials? Were those not the greatest commercials?
They were the best. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they were so good. And like coming off of Mario 3 and with like the wizard and everything like that, because that was 1990 was the wizard. I remember seeing that movie and thinking Fred Savage is like, I want to turn into him. And then like after that, you had like Super Mario World, you know, like, oh man. And then N64 was dope too. I remember just getting the N64 and just being blown away by how much inferior it was to the GameCube when I got that later down the line. Just being so...
Those Super Nintendo commercials were just so good though that it was hey, I gotta get a fucking Sega Genesis.
Did anyone get the? did anyone get the like the special edition N64? Does everyone just get the standard like black?
Standard. I have the GoldenEye one. With the gold controllers.
No, but like for Christmas. Like
I didn't get mine for Christmas because what was that 96 Christmas in 96?
It came out in 96, yeah, but I think 97 is when it was.
I got it in 98. I got it 2 years later.
Summer of 97, my grandparents came down because we were living in North Carolina, and they came down to visit me, and like. I don't know. Maybe I had a good school year the previous year or something, and my parents were like, "We'll get you an N64. Grandma and Grandpa will throw in on it, and you can get one game." And I remember there was a Best Buy that had one in stock because my dad had called, and he was like, "Get in the car!" So like we all piled in the car and like drove over to Best Buy, and I got that and Turok. Turok was the game I had to have.
When you walked into Best Buy, do you remember this for the 64? Looking up, and they had hung 9 CRT TVs to make one big picture, and you walk in and they'd have Mario 64, whoever's playing the kiosk, it would be showing up there. Okay, that's not just me. I swear I remember that.
That's 100% accurate because they used to hang all sorts. You would walk into Best Buy and there'd be like huge displays, just monsters. Like who crafted this? Who created this? What god of the universe made this
abomination?
Shit? Like
it's gotta weigh so much though, because it was like 9 like 32-inch CRT, like the biggest ones you could find, all hanging up there, making one even bigger screen.
I only saw it once. I only saw it once, and it was Dreamcast. I walked into a Best Buy because I feel like in the bad part of town they just didn't do that much, but we were on the good part of town, and I went there and they set that up, and it was Echo the Dolphin, and literally the graphics were so good. I thought it was like a nature documentary, which I know is the cliche, but like to my childlike brain, it really was like, oh my god, like this is real.
So you got the 64, Sean?
Yeah, I got the 64, and I ran into the same problem you did. With the cables. Now the downstairs TV had it, but the TV I had in my room, which was a 13-inch TV, where you had to smack the top of it because there was a weird drooping line that would come down. It didn't have it, so I had to wait. Like they let me play like 30 minutes or an hour, and then they'd be like, all right, get the fuck off the TV. So like I had to wait till I got a RF adapter.
Yep. All right, let's hear how old we all are.
What?
Let's hear how old the rest of us are.
No.
When she was younger and got the 3DS.
I got the Switch.
My parents,
I got the Switch.
no, my parents. I freaking hate you guys. My parents, my dad, like my parents had like they constantly tease me and they talk about how like they had. My mom's like, oh, one of my favorite things was like the Atari, but I didn't like how much time we were spending on it, so I sold it at like a garage sale, and then I gave one to your cousin. So like we didn't have home consoles growing up. My dad would take us to the arcade. Like that was our thing. So I think it was a couple of my neighbors, because my neighbor had a lot of kids, and two of my neighbors had 64s. And I would not shut up about it. Like we would always just play Donkey Kong 64 and you know, Ocarina of Time and stuff. And actually not an Ocarina of Time, but it was, I think it was like the day or two before Christmas. I was with my mom Christmas shopping for our siblings. And she's like, go to the fish section, because we had an aquarium. She's like, go look at the fish and see if there's any that you'd want to bring home for the aquarium. And I was like, okay. And I didn't know. She went to the other side of the super Walmart, and she went and she's like asking the video game, you know, people like, okay, so I have 3 kids. Like, are there any that 3 kids can play at the same time? I don't want them like rotating, because you know most consoles were 2 players. And she's like, is there one that you can play like more? And they're like, yeah, the Nintendo GameCube. And so she went and bought that same day while I was on the other side of the store. And I just remember like being the first kid in the neighborhood at GameCube. And then after that, 3 of my other neighbors each got GameCube. So we were a GameCube neighborhood. Xbox wasn't a thing. We had PlayStations and GameCubes. And I just remember like opening it on Christmas and just, yeah, it was magical, losing my mind. And it was also the edition that had been coming with the Zelda Collector's Edition.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow, yeah.
She'd gotten Mario Party 5, I think was the one that she chose to get for the GameCube. And I remember we just played that with like the whole family on Christmas Day. And then when everybody got tired of it, I like remember like seeing a commercial for Wind Waker. Wind Waker commercials were starting to come out at the time. And, you know, it's like the cute, like Zelda's talking like this, and it's showing, you know, a little cartoon boy. And I was like, kind of looks dumb, I'm not going to lie. And then when I saw the cartridge, or when I saw the case for the game, I was like, this is the commercial. And it had the demo for Wind Waker. It wasn't the full game. It was only the 20-minute demo. And I remember like booting it up, and it throws me into the dungeon of Dragon Roost Island. And my mom comes in and she's like, this is violent. I don't like this. She's like, let me try. So she's like trying to control him and getting hit and is getting mad. And she's like, whatever, you can play it, I guess. I remember just sitting there like by myself. My sisters were playing with their other presents. And I just remember like, it was like me like figuring out like you have to light 2 torches and then the treasure chest, you know, appears. Like that's very Zelda logic, but like you just don't know it the first time you play Zelda. And I remember ever since then just like scrolling through all the different Zelda games on that disc on Christmas Day, and then seeing Link on Epona for Ocarina of Time, and then being like, I am obsessed with horses. I'm a freaking weirdo. I want to play this one. And that was like by far like the best Christmas, because
Wait, what little girl isn't obsessed with the horses? You're not a weirdo for that. My daughter loves horses.
I don't know. I think it probably depends on where you come from, because like where I lived, like horses and ranches and stuff like aren't very common.
Okay.
You know?
It's very common around here, so.
Yeah,
it's
not,
California. Like every little girl loves
it's like
horses.
Tampa, Florida.
And,
like you have to go to a specific place to go on like a trail ride, and they take you through the mangroves and stuff and through the Gulf, which was really pretty. But again, it's like it's a very niche thing. So if you were like considered a horse girl, you know, like weird.
I hate horses.
Sean, I want to say
you.
something. Sean, you were talking about your broke ass TV. I used to live next to this guy named Josh, and Josh had a TV. Like, he was the only kid in the whole neighborhood that had a PlayStation. So you'd go over to his house to play Twisted Metal, and the screen would vibrate slightly. So while you're playing it, the screen would move back and forth by about centimeter. And when you first watch it, it would really hurt your eyes. And Josh would always just sit down and go, "You get used to it in about an hour," and you did. So we used to play thousands of hours of this vibrating screen. And
my TV had like the knob that you would just like turn.
Yeah.
And like the bottom knob was the switch between color or black and white.
Yeah.
And that was when I had the Nintendo and Super Nintendo though. So that was even before that.
The thing of it was people have all these nostalgic, things for CRT TVs. You got to remember those Sony Wegas and shit that you're buying now, the ones that still work, those were top of the line shit.
Yeah,
those,
we weren't touching that.
Yeah, you weren't touching that. Like the CRTs we had were shit boxes. That's why I'm kind of like, you want to play your retro games on HD TV? Go right ahead.
You had to go behind it to move the wires around to get it to stop doing the freaking vertical
those
pan
Sony
and
ones
shit.
now those Sony ones compared to what it'd be like if you bought like an 80-inch 8K TV right now is what those Sony ones were like to us back then.
Well, it's kind of like rose-colored glasses a little bit. Like people who look back, or they're like, oh, like, I never got to participate, so now I'm participating in it now. And it's like, okay, well, that's the rose-colored version of what we all grew up with. Like, I remember, you guys remember like when your parents, like if you had the TV on, like you could hear it across the house.
Yeah.
Just like the high pitch or whatever. Like,
yes,
it was a big
deal if your TV didn't get turned on and start whining.
They would boot up. Yeah, the TVs would go. They had to like turn on.
Oh man!
I remember I had a weird thing where I would get afraid of some like certain. I feel like there were sound effects in video games that I'd never heard before ever in my life. So one of the ones that used to scare me is for some reason we had one of the same exact one, the like clicker old style TV on the Super Nintendo, and for some reason my parents were like, we never want the Super Nintendo in the living room, so they set this small little TV off in a side room, and whenever it played the "You're Dead" Game Over music in Super Mario World, for some reason I thought that angels would come and take me to heaven, so I used to turn it down real quick. I'd get a game over and run it, turn it down like a psychopath. I don't know.
It was a ghost from your Virtual Boy.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of at the time, a lot of family members were dying. So in a weird way, I thought that people were dying because of video games or talking to me through video games. It was not good.
They might be. You don't know.
Yeah. I was really afraid of my dead family members coming back to me, and I don't know. I think I was playing too many video games.
Well, I think we're wrapping up here for this episode. Is next week? Will that be right on
New Year's
Eve? Is that so next Saturday is Saturday? Is that the
Saturday
first?
is the first, so it's New Year's Day,
we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Okay,
New Year's
it's
Day.
also the last podcast of 2021 then. Yeah, so next time we'll be back. We'll be 2022.
Oh my gosh.
Let's
bro.
go.
Start up that year.
Insane.
So, all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us for the Spawncast Christmas special. We'll be back in 2022. Everyone's channels are linked down below in the description. Make sure you check them out, and we'll see you guys then.